Well, hi, everybody. West McDonald here, and I'm with my best bud, Kenneth Edmonds. How are you, Ken?
I am fine. Um, yeah, I say that. I still have a little bit of bronchitis. For those that listened to last week's show, you understand how much challenge I've had. But other than that, I'm fine.
Well, that's great, and I'm glad to see you. Once again, Ken is the best at presenting from remote locations, and you are in a hotel right now. Where are you at, Ken?
I am in Cocoa, Florida,
Coco?
which is not very far from the Kennedy Space Center. And we'll be out on Cocoa Beach today doing some video work.
I love it. And for everyone else out there that is tuning in, make sure you tell us where you're watching from. It's Kenneth Edmonds' favorite part of the show. And we'll introduce our special guest today as well. And Shannon Procise, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. And I spent quite a bit of time actually looking on your website and trying to get my hands on your books, which I'm sure is coming soon. And so excited to talk to you about this idea of helping people understand how they can get more publicity. So wonderful to have you on the show today. And maybe you can share with our viewers where you're from today.
You know what? I'm actually 20 minutes from where Ken's at. I live in Satellite Beach, Melbourne, Florida area.
Ah, well, you guys could go grab lunch after
I
it.
know. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta at least get a hug.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's great. And we've got Mr. Greg Walters in today, and you'll see that Greg often comes in from two platforms. He's watching us on YouTube today as well as on LinkedIn. So we've got his alter ego watching on both platforms, which is awesome. And welcome, Greg, and you can let us know where you are watching from as well. And Shannon, maybe what I'll get you to do is just give a brief introduction for audience and let them know who you are and what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I have the Business Acceleration Network and also Media Magic. And so the Business Acceleration Network, we are reinventing business through collaboration and cooperation. And so people kind of tag me as the go-to expert for building community and connecting with people and getting their message out to the masses.
Well, that's great. And I brought up your website here, and it's actually, I love it when URLs are very simple to get to, shannonprocise.com. And there you can watch video on the book, Media Magic, and some of the things that you can do. And I also like the fact that you've got this handy connection page for people that want to get hold of you. They can get hold of you through a number of ways on the website. So either looking at the video on Facebook, free gift, I didn't press that, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and the various websites, and joining your 360 network. So for anyone that is looking to get in touch with Shannon after this, which I'm sure you're going to want to, Shannon360.com, and everything is available there. One of the things I love, Shannon, is this concept of, free, right? And not everything that we do in our business worlds can be free, but I guess Ken and I are a pretty good example of some of that here, right? So when we do our live stream every week, LinkedIn as a platform is free for us, right? We don't actually, have to pay for that. Now, that's not to say that we don't pay for the tool sets that we use. So
yes.
StreamYard, which we're using to actually do the stream on all of the different channels, because we are live streaming right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. That's paid, but the actual, content that we're producing and sharing, that's absolutely free, right? And LinkedIn's been a great resource for that. So maybe you can take us through that, a little bit, what you do to help customers to sort of uncover those things. What can they do?
Beautiful. Yes. So the first thing that we work with people on is developing that press kit or that media kit. And so that looks at components of what, being ready helps us attract media and also helps us attract higher paying customers and getting more yeses for maybe contracts or speaking gigs. So with that, we look at their expert power bio. We look at a press release or a press release campaign or marketing campaign. We also help them pull together their media and marketing collateral, what will be essential for that, and really looking at where have they been in the past, where has somebody written about them, or they've written, what is some of their content. So, for example, what you guys are doing, this is one of the things we would include in the media kit for, like, especially TV or radio, so people can hear you've been there, done that. You can articulate well. You can stop to allow the host to speak and things like that. So this would be a key piece that we would look at including in your media kit.
Yeah, I find that interesting. And certainly I did put it up here, that the importance of a press kit media kit, and certainly can reach out to Shannon to learn more about how to develop your own. And, certainly articles and blogs, Ken and I have both been in the space for a long time, have been contributed that way. We've been, guests on webinars, and now we have these new things, right? The capability to do these live streams or podcasts or other things, right? And it looks like we do have a question coming in from Greg Walters. How do you feel about the adage, no press is bad press? I love it. Good question, Greg. Well, how do you feel?
Yeah, so I have a couple of interesting stories about that. I do know you do have to look at reputation management. That's definitely important. But I have a couple of success stories. One being ours in the Space Coast. We used to produce very large health conferences at the university, and I remember this is where I kind of cracked the code and started really learning how to get free media and that piece. But I remember we would put some of those signs in the ground. Have you ever seen those signs in the ground where it's like little stakes, and we'd have our website and we would say when it was coming, and they put it on the front page of the newspaper.
Oh, wow.
Right. And they actually wrote a negative thing about the signs in our county. But we all just said, well, even though this is not the best story, it has our website, it has our phone number, it has the whole event on the front page. So that's a story of where, bad press was actually a good press.
I love it. And actually, I've got a couple signs. Well, I will say the only sign I have in my yard right now is from the company that's actually replacing the windows in this old house. And so nice advertising for them. But it is election season right now here in Canada, where I'm from. And so the mayoral candidates and those that are looking to run for, different districts all have their signs here, there, and everywhere, out
yes.
there, right? And yeah, I would certainly say that from a couple of the signs that I see on my neighbor's lawn, I don't agree with their choice in politicians. So that's probably bad press, but I know who they are.
Yes, you do have to be. And I had another client who came to me, and she was looking at the reputation management. She was involved in a workman's comp case, and the media had really attacked her on the fact that here she was doing this case, and yet she was producing this event. Well, from talking with her, I said, it stinks. They're exposing all of this stuff that you're involved in, which most people want to keep private. But she ended up selling out a first-year event. And I told, I really attribute it to the fact of, look at all the media you got about this women's event that you're doing. And so, it's an interesting thing. I also help people with human interest stories. And a lot of times people think, well, how is that going to grow my business? What does it have to do with what I'm doing? And really human interest stories, I don't know if you saw my story, but I had a surgery that left me paralyzed in my left arm.
Oh, boy. And
I used an ancient Chinese exercise called Qigong to heal it. And so when this happened, I contacted the media, and people, a lot of people are like, why would you waste your time? And I'm going, well, first off, it's an inspirational story. And then people go, who is this lady? Right? Like, let me go learn more. And so then it connects that heart connection. And then, then they can look at the business side. So.
Yeah, I love it. And, just for people knowing that you're out there, I haven't had any bad press, so to speak, but obviously in this modern world that we live in social media, I've been astounded actually to watch sometimes that we have the same trolls and, people that, come out there to come after us, as was the public sphere of Facebook and, Twitter probably for the longest time, right? Heavy criticisms and sort of negativity and stuff. One of those trolls hit me up pretty hard in the organization that I represent, a volunteer organization. And the number of responses that I had coming back from people reaching out to me, people I hadn't heard from in years, right? So even though that was sort of a bad representation or slagging kind of what I was doing, the response that I got back from people in support was absolutely incredible, right? So it is kind of a two-edged sword. So I say certainly for anyone out there that wants to continue to promote the Managed Print Services Association, we do have award season coming up. Please continue to do what you're doing. And I will throw that out for everybody here that the MPSA Awards, I thought I created a banner for this, are coming up November 1st at 2 p.m. Central. So make sure you tune in for that. Now, we talked about...
Let me ask a question here. And first of all, I have had the privilege of interviewing Shannon before on my when I was having my own podcast, and we had such a great conversation. And one of the things that I walked away from that was, and I think you just to see if you see this is still true, is that too many organizations don't do enough. I love what you said about human interest. So, for example, if somebody is a technician of the month, or something's happened, or you've contributed, I think all of those are things that people need to make sure get communicated to the public around them. And I don't think they use either video media or printed media enough. What's your thought on that, Shannon?
Yeah. So, Ken, one of the things that I share with people is that, if I spent 15 minutes with you, I could come up with 40 articles or stories about you that you could contribute. And I feel like, everybody could be continuing to share news to the media every week as part of their business practice, because we all have education, right? We have something we can educate people on. Everybody has human interest stories. We've all had adversity we've had to overcome, right? We all have that piece. And then the community give back is another place where, what are you doing in the community? And then just news, things that's happening in the world and in our world.
I love it. And we do have a comment coming in from Marianne St. Clair, the Business of Pleasure, and says, "Hi, I like to be polarizing also, something that some people might not agree with." And that's right. I think if you have an opinion about anything, you're certainly not going to have anyone agree with all of it. So thanks for contributing there, Marianne St. Clair.
And it's interesting because, can I just share one more story that I've seen? I remember a woman a number of years ago who wrote a blog, and she really didn't have much traction, didn't have much following. And this was her medium of continuing to write her own blog. And one time she wrote a blog, and she put Trump in the title. She put Trump, a little bit about Trump, just as more of a metaphorical thing. This blog blew her up. Right? I mean, she was all over the internet, both sides polarizing and loving it. But she used something in the media, and it just catapulted her business.
Yeah, it is a funny thing, right? That when we look at the different mediums, how they work to, sort of generate conversations, right? Yeah. And I actually wrote a blog on the LinkedIn platform many years ago. And it was 5 people we wish would stop using LinkedIn, and it went viral. I mean, it was crazy, right? But the truth of the matter is, I use that really as a launching pad. I never put negative things out there without saying, here's the alternative, right? So, one of the people I said I wish would stop using LinkedIn were the Insta spammers, right? So the minute you get a connection request, you accept it, and then you get a 3-paragraph diatribe about the services that they can offer you, right? And of course, the alternative to that is questioning. So if I, do reach out to somebody, the first thing I'll do after, I make a connection is to have that personal level contact. Say, hey, great, really appreciate you, connecting, and glad to have you in our network. Maybe we can help each other down the road. Little things, right? But yeah, just because of the title, because it sounded negative, it went off the charts. West is so Canadian. Thanks, Greg. I take that as a compliment,
Hey, Greg, I agree 100% with you. I think that if you listen to West, pretty soon you'll find him say, and that's a sure giveaway.
About. Yeah, and it's actually, funny, Shannon, because your name, Procise, I talk about process all the time, right? And of course, in the U.S., it's pronounced process. And my joke always is I'll start saying it that way when they spell it Praw. So let's talk about a little bit about your book here for a minute. Can you kind of take us through what people can expect if they get their hands on Media Magic?
Yeah, and I actually have a PDF download version I can offer people for free.
Well, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, so if they go to MediaMagicBook.com, they can download the PDF. This is a workbook. So this is where we give you templates of press releases. We give you some powerful questions to start asking in your power bio. It also, I brought in a branding expert that shares some other pieces, social media pieces, but really this is all of the key components of what I did to garner millions of dollars in free press in a workbook format. You know, how to write a tagline that sizzles, and an elevator pitch, and all of that is in the book.
Yeah, I love it, and especially the workbook format, because Ken and I are both educators and trainers, and you know, one of the things that that we both know very well is that unless the people that we're training or mentoring, as I prefer to call it, right? And mentoring means basically that they have to do some work. That the education and the learning sticks when you have to do some work. So I love the idea that this actually has a workbook, you know, kind of feel and component. And I did put up your link there. I know that's where it took me to, was shannonprocise.com/mediamagic to be able to get there and to fill out the form to get your copy. And that's wonderful. I can't believe it. Thank you very much for, you know, making that free for folks.
Yeah, it's important to help people get out there in the world. This is, you know, basic stuff.
And one of the things that I appreciate that you do too, Shannon, is I have attended and registered for some of the free training that you provide. And that's such a good example for all businesses, is that get in the business of giving things that will help your market and help people. And in the long term, then what will happen is you will start to benefit from both the publicity and the you know, the reputation that you build doing that.
Yeah, Ken and I have actually done that ourselves. We work with dealers to help them with basically modernizing their managed print practices to move away from, not to bore you with the details, but from a traditional cost per page into a more subscription-based kind of offering for, you know, for managed print. And we actually had a 10-day challenge in which we went through all the components that would affect a business, you know, doing that, from their marketing to the legal to the contracts to the service team, et cetera. And that was a 10-day challenge, right? And absolutely, you know, free. But of course, there are folks that, you know, have worked with us afterwards because they wanted some help to kind of move through those things, right? So I love it. That's great, Shannon. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah, and so can you tell me your ideal client is? Just because I'm trying to, you know, my Rolodex mind is going, who do I know? This sounds great.
Yeah, our ideal client is both office equipment dealers who are, you know, traditionally sell copiers and printers, and also managed IoT services providers who are looking to sell managed print to their customers on their stacks, right? So if you think of, you know, an organization that manages servers and desktops and, you know, security, cybersecurity for their customers, those are good, you know, candidates as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. I may have some things to follow up with you on. Wonderful.
I love it. That's the magic of these things, right?
Yeah.
And we do have a comment from Marianne. Oh, that's great. Great gift. I will go grab it. And I'm sure you're not alone, because I will be grabbing it myself as soon as we're done the interview today. Yeah. That's great.
And next year we are doing a revision, so keep your eye out for the revision that's coming out too.
Okay, that's great. So an update. And you talk about the, you know, these millions of dollars of free kind of, you know, publicity, right? So are there any and this is probably not a good question because it probably depends on the vertical that people are working from, but
all questions are okay.
Are there any, you know, particular ones where they're going to get like the most bang for their bucks, to say, if you do this, then you'll see these kind of, you know, results, right?
Yeah. So to me, Media Magic also encompasses a way to get your message out to the masses. So I always believe, find your ideal customer and where they have a body of people. So it could be a trade magazine. It could be an association that maybe you go speak at or market in. So I think the biggest bang for your buck, because we're always looking at conversion and return, is getting your message in front of your ideal customer. And so, for example, I love doing retreats. We do retreats at our house here on the beach, and I went online and found retreatfinders.com. I mean, it was just this. I just started looking. Hey, where are people looking for retreats? I ended up doing, at the time, it was like a $60 ad. And so whether you do promote 1 month before or a year before, it's still $60 for the ad.
Oh, wow.
This website got me almost 250 hits a week just from the traffic. So really looking at where are your people hanging out? And how, even if you've got to pay a little bit, like this one, it was like, I was so shocked at their model and the return on investment. But I had to go find where's my customer.
I love that. And where are your customers looking for advice and expertise, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I know, Ken, you're speaking to the MPSA soon in a webinar providing your expertise. And we've both spoken at different events for the BTA or the MPSA or in the old days. You remember Comdex, Ken? I don't.
Yep.
That's gone now.
I never spoke at Comdex, but I was there several times. And by the way, I do have a webinar, and I just shared it on LinkedIn. So for those of you that haven't seen it, if you're following me, or you can check my posts. I will be speaking for the BTA next week on, I think it's Thursday afternoon, talking about how to apply the 7 principles or 7 habits of highly effective people. But there's 5 in particular I'm going to focus on that too many businesses and business owners skip over that can have lasting impact on their business.
Well, that's great. And I think it's a good example of, being able to do that. And so I would think, like, when you're talking about local trade magazines, could that be a chamber of commerce as well? Like, to be able to find a reason to go speak there, or?
Yeah, or to, I find that our local media really loves local stories. It's always a lot easier to get something picked up when they know, hey, local business did this, local artist did this. So that's a great place to start. And then one of the things one of the services we offer as a money back guarantee is a syndication service. And so a lot of times we'll help people leverage this because we get Market Watch, AP News, Fox, ABC, NBC. We guarantee over 400 pickups, meaning they're going to print this article that we write. And then now they have all these logos that they can use on their website. They can actually update the press release and say recently seen on or featured on. And then the local media, they even are more attracted to it. Hey, local business owner featured in ABC News or something like that.
I love that. And I often think of that when I see those kinds of things, that it lends a certain sense of credibility when it has been, featured in one of those things, right? And actually, I'll share my screen again because you do have a nice example, of how that can look, right? So when you think of, these folks here, instantly recognizable logos, that can reach a broad range of customers, right? So, I mean, the dealers that we're working with and the providers, if it's for off-equipment dealers or managed IT providers, their end users, the people that they're selling to will definitely be watching and paying attention to one of these brands, right? One of these, like you said, syndication brands. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really, and on that same website at the top, there's a sample report. So you can see where that red button is. It says sample media report. That will show you the sample release. We can actually put in 3 different links, which a lot of times you're not able to do that. You know what I mean? Like if in the free press, they have to tell the story about you. But in this, we have the opportunity to really control the narrative, if that makes sense. And then as you scroll down, all of the links for each of the media will take you right to the article.
Oh, that's great. Wow. And this looks like a real.
Yeah, it's. I have to say, I come from the free media space because I, started doing events. I wanted to get butts and seats. I hope it's okay I'm saying that. And I didn't want to spend a ton of money, and so that's where I really cracked the free media code. But then when I found this syndication, I'm like, gosh, you can pay a little bit, and really this impacts your SEO, credibility. There's just a lot that you can. And you can control the narrative on where you want them to go and do hyperlinks and things like that.
Well, look at all this. It's absolutely crazy to see the number of places that, this becomes live and that you've actually got reference for this. So when a customer moves through this with you, do they get like a similar report like this where they...
Oh, everybody. Yeah. This is the guaranteed deliverables that you get to see.
Wow, that is so cool. I mean, I continue to scroll. I thought there would be good value in just having 1 or 2 pages of places that stuff would show up, but that's crazy.
Yeah, and they recently brought on Asia One, and I didn't really realize about Asia One, but they tend to be Asian-based media, and our SEO that we're seeing on as far as traction, people that have that global message, it's been pretty powerful coming from Asia One too.
Yeah. I can get that because I actually spent a lot of time with myself looking to BBC for references, and even like maybe it's not politically correct, but the oh good grief, why am I forgetting the name of them now? The Arab news. Good grief, can't help me out.
Al Jazeera.
Thank you very much, Al Jazeera. They have some phenomenal content if I'm looking for, diverse sets of opinions and, different things, right? So for me, that'd be a great place to see some advertising because I am visiting, those sites, right? Really neat.
Yeah. And then also AP News is the one that you guys know where people pick it up.
Yeah.
Right? So that's so AP News, every single one we've done, we've had that. They've so far picked up each one. So a lot of times people get even after the fact because people go to AP News and then they'll snag it and do something else with it. So there could be some great things. People that are on a budget, I also suggest like Radio Guest List. You can find out other places to get media. I also HARO, Help a Reporter Out, is another place to find media outlets. So there's a lot of ways for people to get out in the media in a big way.
I love it. This is fascinating, and I have not stopped scrolling yet.
I think it's 50 pages. I think this one got picked up by 581, and this is a release that I did about our event. We gave out awards, and so I use the service too.
Okay, so let me go back because it seems like in the back of my mind that when things get picked up on the syndication, that sometimes these are articles or things that you see like on MSN News and in a variety of places you wouldn't expect something to necessarily pop up, but they just plug in and fill these spots. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, really neat. And hey, sorry, like with respect to our viewers, we keep these to half an hour, and what a wealth of knowledge. And I do obviously have your contact information up here. Make sure you visit shannonprocise.com. We've also shared the link to be able to make sure they can get the workbook to work on their own. And absolutely fascinating. I, for one, have learned a ton today and have feverishly written down some of my own notes for some of this promotion. So, Shannon, cannot thank you enough for joining us on Level Up today.
Thank you so much for all you guys do to get, help people grow.
Yeah. And on that note, Ken, good to see you again. And hopefully the bronchitis gets better. There's our buddy Greg Walters. Thanks, Greg. And until next time, you remember to keep learning, keep growing your business. Thanks.
Keep leveling up.
Keep leveling up.